Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and today on this Monday, it's an honor to sit down with the legend himself, Mark Morrow. What is up, my man?
Uh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I do. You jutted out for a second, but you're back.
Okay, okay. As I
You're
just got done
frozen though.
saying, I'm frozen now,
Either that, or you can move really. You hold really still.
bro. I'm telling you
Oh,
right now, I'm in the Matrix right now. You don't even know.
great movie.
Are we back yet? Can you see
I
me?
think we're back.
All right,
It's
all
funny.
right.
Your video is not matching your audio, but I'm hearing.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Let me. I'll continue to play with this, but let me get into this with Mark. Listen, it's an honor to have you on the podcast today. I know this has been a long time coming. Me and you've been talking a lot. We have a lot to talk about, but before we get into this, this episode is sponsored by Next Level Financial. Take control of your financial future. Get your complimentary analysis today by Seth Starnes. He also has Next Level suspension too as well. So he's a racer. He knows what it takes to stay in the game and the financial side of things. Not only does he do that, he does the 401k and the retirement. You guys, look, give him a shout for sure. It's what he does is a proper mega job. Another thing I tell everybody is it's 2025. People, love yourself. Go to bisontrack.com, get you a full custom suit. Dish that off the rack suit, make a purse, a backpack, give it to your wife or your son or something out of it, right? A shopping bag. So when you go to the supermarket, whatever, you need a full custom suit. It makes a world of a difference. Mark can tell you the same thing with a custom suit is night and day compared to an off the rack suit. Because for most of us, it's not going to fit you 100% correctly, right? And in areas that it don't fit you correctly, let's say your arms, causes arm pumps. You can't stretch or move the way you need to. So listen, love yourself. It's 2025, bisontrack.com. Join the herd. Let's go. Anyway, Mark,
Love yourself.
love yourself. That's right. How
That's
you doing,
awesome.
bro?
I'm doing great. And on that note, I will back that up. Full custom leathers. So there is just no. Once you go full custom, you'll never go back to off the rack. I had no choice. The old dad bod started kicking in, and off the rack just wasn't an option anymore. But I'm actually staring at my very first custom suit that I got in 2016. I can't fit that one anymore. I'm on to a whole new customs, but that was several suits ago. But full custom's the way to go. It's not Bison. I don't want to rain on the sponsorship parade. I'm sponsored by VO2 Leathers, and they're a small North Carolina company, and they've taken really good care of me over the years. So, but anyhow, I don't want to turn this whole thing into a commercial broadcast. What's on your mind, man? I'm glad to be here. This has been I've been excited thinking about this. This is looking like a lot of fun. So
Me too, Mark, man. Just speaking on that, there's many companies out there that do custom leather suits. You're not going to go wrong by getting a custom suit from anyone. So it's
yeah,
2025, people. Can't love yourself, get that custom suit.
yeah,
But yes,
that's
Mark, bro, let's get into this, man. I want to start off as I always start this off. Your beautiful journey on the two wheels. Where did it all begin for you?
it just froze. Nope. Seems like you're back now. You're
Can you
moving.
hear me?
You froze
Can you
for a
hear me?
second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I think we just have a okay connection that occasionally is giving us a hard time. But I hear you, honey. Uh, so carry on. What did you start off asking? I didn't hear it.
Oh, as I ask all my friends, your beautiful journey on the two wheels, where did it all begin for you?
Wow. When did it all begin? Um, my first memory of motorcycles was was my dad. My dad, he was not a racer. He was a doctor, and mom and dad were broke from all the bills from medical school. Starting a family, brand new young doctor in his 20s, and they needed a second vehicle. And dad saw an ad that said 90 cc's, 90 miles per gallon, Honda Trail 90. So the same year I was born, he bought this little Trail 90, which is For those that aren't old that don't remember what that, it looks like a moped. It's like an overgrown moped. But us kids, he would come home from work and we would hear him like 2 blocks away. He'd start beeping the horn just to let us know, like, and it was fierce. I have 3 siblings, an older brother, an older sister, and a younger sister, and we'd be like straight arming each other and running because whoever got outside, whoever was there first, got the first ride around the house, and he'd ride us around the house. And I learned really quick that it didn't matter about being there first. It mattered to just stick around, because after you got your turn, if you waited patiently, you could get a second turn. It's I liked riding on the bike, and I got as many rides as I could. As many times he'd take me around the house, I would ride around the house. So that's like my first memory of a motorcycle. And later he taught me to ride on that bike before I could even touch the ground. He had me sit on the seat in front of him, hanging on the hand. It had an automatic clutch. So I was working the gas and the brakes and steering, and he was just sitting on the back and just being the kickstand whenever we came to a stop. And it even got to a point where he would let me go solo. And he's just like, if you tip over, tap out SOS on Morse code on the horn and I'll come get you. But I never tipped it over when I was riding that solo. But there was no way I could have picked that bike up and gotten back on it. But I would go and riding on these trails that we'd go, and he would like sit there and read a medical journal or something. He was always studying, and I'd be riding around on these trails on the Trail 90, barely can touch the foot pegs, let alone touch the ground. So I think I learned at a really early age about commitment with bikes. They talk about off-road riding and on pavement. Sometimes it's all about the mental. You just have to commit and, say, I'm going to make it through this section. And I think I learned that at about 5 or 6, 7 years old, because the penalty, if I couldn't, was I'm going to be stuck and I have to live through the shame of I never wanted to hit that SOS for dad, So yeah, the Trail 90. That's my first bike experience. And later he upgraded to a Honda CB450, and he gave me the 90 when I was 13. We moved out to the country. I grew up in Syracuse, but we moved out to the country when I was 13. Got a horse farm, and he gave me the 90 to be able to check on the fences. Sure. Yeah, very early I started a bad habit of riding down to the end of the field, get out of sight, and then out on the road. How fast does this thing go? Yeah, everything I've ever owned, it's always been how fast. Early in the relationship with any vehicle, I've always been like, what does it do? What does it do?
Let me see how this girl dances.
So, and that like most people, did a lot of dirt bikes when I was a teenager, and then I got in trouble over the little joy rides that involved the Onondaga County sheriffs. He said, "Oh, so you stole your dad's keys, did you?" I said, "No, he gave me permission." That didn't go over well. Dad got ticketed. The bike got sold. I was told when you turn 16, we're not going to sign we're not going to sign your learner's permit. You're on your own. So everybody in high school got their license that year, and Mark was riding his bicycle to school and taking the bus when it was snowing. Really sad year. The year of 16 to 17 was a sad year for me. And then I got it. At 17 in New York, back then you could get your license and permit without your parents' permission at 17. So at 17, I went ahead and got my license. I bought my first street bike was a 82 Suzuki GS 650G shaft drive. Loved that bike. It was a great bike. I did a lot of cool things on it. Got my license, and that's when the whole up to that point, I thought I want to race dirt bikes. But my parents wouldn't support racing, so I knew that this was going to be something that I had to do after I moved out of the house. And I'll spare you the details, but the 3 times I tried motocross, I'm a good
You
trailer
don't
rider. I
like
still
this
am a
right
pretty
here.
decent trailer rider. I can get up. Yeah. All three times I raced, I got lapped. And the third time I said, when they lap me, I'm just going to latch onto their tail and follow them and do whatever they do. That didn't end up well. and I kind of gave up. I won't say I gave up, but for a while I was like, this whole racing thing, maybe that was just a youthful flight of fantasy. But then I got the street bike and I started riding on the street and way too fast and doing stupid stuff and being 100% what I would call a squid nowadays. I was a horrible road rider back then, treating the road like a racetrack and going way too fast. And I had this idea that if you wanted to go racing, you needed a brand new ZX7, brand new leathers, brand new. I had this idea that it was going to be $40,000 or $50,000. It was just a little blank. And I was in my 20s, not making jack for money to do this road racing thing either. But I do a Keith Code school up at Watkins Glen, and that was, man. After that, I was like, okay, I got to figure out a way to get out here. This is way too cool. And it wasn't until I moved to North Carolina that I just happened to run into a group of guys that were club racers. And I'm like, oh, you guys race? Well, are you in the AMA? And they're like, AMA? And I'm like, man, I want to race, but I just can't afford to get a brand new bike and all the modifications. They're like, isn't that an RZ350? I'm like, yeah. They're like, that's the perfect bike to start racing on. Just safety wire it. We'll show you how to safety wire. Come on, take Ed Bargey's class. Boom. So they kind of held my hand and showed me that there's a way you can be a cheap racer. There's a low budget racing. I had no concept of what club racing was or grassroots racing. So I took Ed Bargey's school in December '94 at Talladega. And then 2 months later, I went to the Weir season opener at Talladega. And contrast to my motocross experience where lapped and crashed, really abysmal. Oh, I forgot the time I went to Unadilla once, and there were so many people. They're like, we're going to do heats, top 20, move on. 21st. I was like, man, I just can't catch a break. I go to that first race with Weir, and I signed up for everything. I signed up for club and D Superbike, lightweight twins, the Solo 20. They used to be called the 50 milers. They were 50-mile endurance races. I did everything. I finished second in Clubman, first race ever. I didn't know where I started dead last, and I just kept on passing bikes. And after a while, I noticed that the bikes I was passing had white plates instead of yellow plates. I just kept on going, I come back into the pits, and all my buddies are like, whoa, slap me on the ass and everything. I'm like, whoa, what happened? What happened? Did somebody do something cool? They're like, you got second. You were third overall. The only person ahead of you was first place novice and first place expert. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm pretty good at this. And I jumped in with both feet. I was waiting tables at the time. A nice restaurant. I'm not saying I was getting rich, but I was making maybe more than the average 24-year-old was. But every penny I had went to tires and entry fees and gas. And I was very low budget. I had a little Nissan pickup truck that I'd blessedly gotten a little fender bender with it, and the insurance company totaled it, paid me every penny more than I paid for it. And I got to buy it back for like $100. And it had a crease going from the front quarter panel through the door all the way through the rear quarter panel. Like this person pulled out in front of me, and I almost missed him, but so it was visually an ugly truck, but it was mechanically perfect. I used that truck for 5 years as my 6 years as my race hauler. Put over 150,000 miles on it. Never I think I made one repair on that truck the entire time I had it. So I got kind of lucky, used leathers, back of Dennis Kirk closeout for helmet, back of Dennis Kirk. My boots and my gloves were hot pink because, in the early 90s, all those neon colors were really popular, but by the mid 90s, nobody wanted them. So I got boots for $100. I got gloves for $20, but I looked pretty ugly out there, but I was finishing on the podium um, almost every weekend, and I was embroiled in a really tough battle with two other racers for the Clubman Championship. I only won two races that year, and ironically, both of them were in the rain. Which I'm from Syracuse, New York, which is the second most overcast city in the United States. So I had a lot of rain experience growing up, and but that was that first year. I ended up second in the nation or second in the region in points, and third. I went to the GNF and got third in the nation, which is like, how about that? Top three, just a new guy. Both of the guys that beat me had been racing for multiple years, and I was a true rookie, and Wira bumped me up to expert that next year. So that was pretty good, and pretty good first year. Had a lot
Proper
of fun
mega,
with
as I
that.
always say. A proper mega year you had for sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Um, you cut out, so I just heard proper something.
Oh, I said you had a proper mega year.
Ah, yes, it was. It was definitely a mega year, and I got to give credit where credit's due. The guy I called this guy in a magazine that was an RZ specialist, and I said, "Hey, I'm looking to go race my RZ, and I'm wondering what modifications I should do to get my bike ready for the racetrack." I told him what my bike had done to it. He said, "None." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Sell that thing and buy mine. I've got a turnkey race bike. I won a national championship on it last year, but I'm moving in a different direction. I'll I'll sell this." I think I paid $2,200 for that bike, and it had like everything you need to get. I mean, it was literally put my number on the bike, go win races. And he quickly turned into kind of a mentor for me. He gave me a It was Gary Stum. He was kind of one of those classic. Oh, everything was just good, So I had some advantages for sure. Um, so he was a big help. He was a big part of that success for the first several years. He really helped me out a lot. Um, so that was a lot of fun. So that's kind of the short version of how I got into it. And that first year, I just raced Wira. That was 95. But in 96, I got a CCS license, mainly because I wanted to be faster at Road Atlanta. And Wira only went there once a year back then. But CCS went there 2 or 3 times a year. So I was like, I'll get a CCS license and, double dip a little bit and get more track time. And then, of course, the addiction caught in, and I found myself started chasing points with both of them. And that became, for all these days off, work started getting pretty upset with me, and I really wasn't paying my bills. And I was in danger. 96, 97, 98, and 99 was my last year competing with CCS, and really 98 and 99 I only went to 1 or 2 races with CCS. I kind of had pulled back by that on Wira. You started in 99, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I started
99.
in in Phoenix actually. This is my very first road race license. I was going through my stuff and I found it.
There it is. Yeah,
Yep. 1999, baby.
competition championship cup series CCS. Yeah, we might have been there. Did you go to Daytona?
No, I did not go to Daytona. I was out in Phoenix.
What's that? I couldn't hear you.
I said you were breaking up there for a minute. I did it
Okay.
in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, you're out west.
I was out west CCS. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, our connection is pretty spotty. You froze a few times on me, so I'm not sure how well we're getting across to the world.
Yeah. You've been
But
spotty too. We'll just keep going, and if it ends up like at the end, I'll go back and rewatch it. If I can't edit it to make it smooth, we'll just redo it. It's not a big deal.
there you go.
Yeah, we'll just redo it. But since we're here, we're having fun, and the story's
Yeah.
being told. Let's just go, right? So,
See, now you're
uh,
fine. Now you're fine. Yeah, it's good.
good. Everybody's got a beautiful journey into two wheels, right? And it's always fun to hear everybody's side on how they got into it. It's a beautiful thing. And you, my friend, had an awesome journey, right?
Yeah, it's
Getting in
pretty
trouble
cool.
on the Israel says split gearbox CT90 for the win. Yeah, absolutely,
The
right?
high low. That's right.
That's it. And then we got Ellen Marrow. What is up, Ellen? She says, I see y'all. Let's go. You're right. Let's
That's my
go.
wife.
Love it. I know.
My
She's
number
awesome.
one supporter, by the way.
That's
She
You got to have that.
we met in 2012, and I had been racing for about 15 years at that point. And since we met, and actually when I hadn't gone a whole year without a race, but I had gotten hurt in 2010, and it really hurt my finances as much as it hurt my body. And so for like 2011 and 2012, I only went to one or two races each year, just enough to say I'm still a racer, but I wasn't chasing any points or championships. And when we started dating, I was kind of downplaying the racing because my previous girlfriend wasn't really fond of it. And so I had experienced the wrath of someone, not the wrath, that's not fair. But I had experienced the situation of having a non-supportive partner, and I was kind of very leery of, having that happen again. So, and she was the kind of one that pulled me out of the shell. She's like, "So what's this about this motorcycle racing?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, it's just a little hobby. I do it occasionally. Haven't really been doing it much lately. The bike's kind of worn out. It needs new topping. It needs tires, and she's like, "Well, I think it sounds great. We should go. I'd love to watch you race." I'm like, "Well, money's a little tight right now." And she's like, "Well, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't know what to get you for your birthday. I'll just sponsor you for a weekend. You fix your bike. Let me know what it is." And so I fixed up my RD, and we went up to Summit Point to a race. And I got the whole shot. I lead the first lap, and then I come around on the second lap, and I blow my engine on the front straight, right on the front. Come on, the front straight. The sound of silence. I come back into the pit. She's got the tools out. She's like, "What are we going to fix?" I'm like, "We're not fixing this one." That was when I told her, times in this sport, you're the hammer, and sometimes you're the nail. Today, we're the nail, but it won't be like this all the time. But there's always a chance that this is the outcome. And it didn't bother her one bit, and we came back strong. And from that point on, 2013, we started chasing championships again. And but I was going to say, the entire time I've known her, she has missed exactly 3 races, and all 3 were just because 2 were because of work that she could not get out of, and once was because she was in the hospital. And I was like, "Honey, I got to stay home with you." She's like, "Hell no, you get down there and chase. We spent too much money chasing all this country. You're not going to throw away this championship because I'm sitting in the hospital bed." And she was out of danger. She had a bad kidney stone and got, septic. It was touch and go there for a while, but she was over the hump. But they were in that, "We want to hold you for a day or two for observation." Cersei sent me on the road, but yeah, 3 times, and we just had our 11th wedding anniversary 2 weeks ago. So we've known each other for 13, almost 12 and a half years, almost 13 years, and she's missed 3 races. So she's hardcore. she's a big part of the race program here and the school too. So
I love it. It's Ella, you're absolutely an amazing woman. Thank you so much for all the love and support for Mark here. It's good to have that support system.
it's
I remember
Eileen.
Eileen. Sorry, I remember when I met my wife. We met on a blind date, and I was like, look, one thing you got to understand about me. I am plumb psycho over a motorcycle. She's like, what are you talking about? Like, okay, whatever. And then I
I have
bring
it
her home
see.
and I show her my room. She opens up. She says, holy shit. I was like, this is just a quarter of it. She's like, right. So yeah,
Yeah.
she supports me 110%. Always have. If I didn't have her love and support, I wouldn't be able to do what I do either, right? As far as podcasting, much less, writing and all that good stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very important to have that um, support system in your life for sure.
And this year is 30 years for me. Started in 95 and this is 2025. And in those 30 years, I've raced with a supportive girlfriend. I've raced with a non-supportive girlfriend. I've raced 100% totally several years, just single, not dating anybody or anything. And then I've raced with a very supportive wife. And by far, the most success and most competitive I've ever been is when I've had a supportive wife. And second place was when I had a supportive girlfriend. And third place was when I was just solo by myself. And then obviously last place, not having supportive partner, having a non-supportive partner. If you look at my kill list of all the championships I've won, it's like I won a bunch of them. I won my first one in '97 national championship. And then I won a bunch of them from '07 to 2002. And then from 2002 to 2013, I didn't win any championships. That's when I was dating. That's the drive. Several years I finished second, it's like, oh, so close. Oh, you almost got it. But it really makes a difference. A lot of single young males think, oh, if you get married, you're never going to race again. Or if you get a girl, don't get a girlfriend, don't get married, just whore around and stuff like that. But I beg to differ. I've had the most success has always come with a supportive partner, whether it's a wife or a girlfriend.
100%.
It's a tough sport. It's an individual sport, but it's kind of a team sport at the same time. When you have a good support network, you can focus on the things you need to focus on. You can focus on lap times and strategies and say, doing what you got to do. So
100%. You're free right
I'm
here.
blessed. I found absolutely. I got lucky. I found one of the good ones. Nobody touch her. She's mine.
Mark is taken, ladies. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So was Eileen.
Yep. So
Getting
Eileen,
between
there
us.
you go.
Yep.
Frank says, glad to see you're doing better, my friend.
Yeah, I got jacked up last year pretty bad. It was the worst accident. Is the worst I've ever been hurt racing, and it sucked. And it was weird. It was seven broken bones. Two of them were major breaks, and the other five were just annoying, painful cracks. But they were non-displaced. But you still feel all the pain on a non-displaced break. And I had them all. I had them on both legs, both arms, and my back. It was really just one of those, just one in a million crashes that I just, never saw it coming in a million years. And then when it was happening, it was like, oh no. And everything was in slow motion. I'm like, I can't dodge. Guy went down right in front of me. I went right into the back of him. And I had an air vest and it deployed, but I still broke that collarbone, that rib, 3 bones in my foot, broke my fibula, cracked my pelvis. That was a buzzkill. That was the worst of the pain, but it also went away the fastest. So, for about 2 weeks, that was just everything was about my lower. But the really good news is that neither of the big breaks required surgery. Both the foot doctor and the shoulder doctor were like, it's gonna let's roll the dice. Let's see. Let's give it 2 weeks, and if it's giving you, if it looks weeks, both of them said, let's keep on, let's go another 2 weeks. And sure enough, they both healed fully. I still have a click up here in this shoulder, but and that's my fourth collarbone in life. So one, three were racing, and one was a big brother wrestling incident. But yeah, last year sucked. It was 2024 was not kind. Mark Morrow or Mark Morrow Racing School. It was a rough year. I'd love a do over, please.
Right.
But there's a lot of great too. It's still a great season. I'm blessed that I'm 57 or 56 overweight and still find ways to be competitive on the track.
I love it.
Next year, people are like, aren't you getting old for those motorcycles? When are you going to slow down? I'm like, it hasn't happened yet. That green flag flies and I just take off and go. That's what I like to do.
That's right. That's right. Let me ask you this, Mark. You know, having that big injury last year, how did you mentally come back from that? Can you hear me? I think we lost him again. Mark, can you hear me? He'll be back here in a minute. But what a story so far, right? Man. Uh-oh, hang on. Let's see what we got. We need to connect our mic before you can add them. Are you there?
There we go.
All right.
Yeah, the internet didn't like my story. They just like, Mark, you talk too much. We're just going to cut you out.
I love it, man. I love it. What I asked you before you just totally left the podcast is you know, last year with that big crash, how did you mentally come back from that?
I'm sorry. How did I what?
How did you mentally come back from having that accident?
You know, I've been blessed. I don't get the heebie-jeebies, or at least I haven't. I certainly do a couple things. My first time back on the track was this January down in at Jennings. There's a really fun little endurance race, the Separano Classic, and I showed up for the practice day and I went out my first session. I said, you know, I'm just gonna no expectations. I'll go as slow or as fast as my brain and body tell me to go. And you know, first lap I went pretty slow. Second lap I went a little faster, and third lap I went a little faster. And by the end of the session, I was like, all right, I feel good. And then the second session, I started. Second session, I looked at my lap times, and I was like, oh, I'm a second off of what I ran last year. So, you know, not bad for you know. I've been blessed with that. The only time I ever had any heebie-jeebies, the big crash I had in 2010 was at VIR, and it happened in a corner that I shouldn't have crashed in. It was a corner that on the bike I was riding, it's a corner you just take wide open, but it was practice. It was in the morning. I went offline to go around somebody, and I just got high-sided, cold tire, combination of cold tires being offline. I'm not sure what it was, but that crash, the first time I went back to VIR, which I didn't get back to VIR for a whole year, you know, I got back on the bike as soon as I healed up from my stuff, and I went down and raced at Savannah. But I didn't go back to VIR until the same event a year later. So a good 12 months went by with me getting ideas in my head about that corner. And I remember the first time I got to that corner, which is a wide open. It's really just a bend on a 600 or 750. You might have to roll off there, but on a little bike, you just pin it. And I remember getting to that corner saying, I'm just going to keep a pin, and just automatically, I was like, damn you, next lap, I'm going to keep a pin. I got to that. My body just would not let me stay pinned through that turn. by the end of the weekend, I was there for Saturday and Sunday. By the end of the weekend, I finally got it pinned through that turn again. And so that's the only time that I ever really had like heebie jeebies and had something in my brain telling me, hey, you got hurt here. Stop, reconsider you think about what you're doing next. But other than that crash, anytime I've crashed, usually I've gotten right back on the bike that same day or that same weekend, a little thrash in the pits, replace foot peg, replace clutch lever, replace clip on, and get back out there. Or the, I crashed pretty hard at Barber in 2020, and I shattered my finger socket. This socket, it was a jam, and it did that to the socket, and now this is my full range of motion. Whereas that's what that one does. I remember after that one, I've never looked at that little chicane on the back straight the same way. I watch videos from before the crash, and I go through that thing really aggressively, and I roll off, pitch into the left, and then whack the gas open and slam it to the right. I've noticed that now when I go through there, I roll off the gas, go to the left, and you can hear, da, 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 da. I'm a little tentative on that left-right flick, and I don't go immediately to full throttle. You hear a nice, I learned my lesson. I'm not ever going to do that one again. But for the most part, though, we all make mistakes, and you just got to live in the moment, put it behind you. Don't do that again.
100%. And we got Paul Pendergrass in the house. What is up, Paul? He says, what's
up, Paul?
Fellas? Paul's absolutely amazing. And we got
there's
Karen.
My sister, Karen. Hey,
Karen. I said Karen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's my big sister. That's my big sister. She's
big
out in
sis
Chicago.
In the house.
Grays Lake.
Love
it. She's exactly 1 hour and 50 minutes away from Road America. Lucky. And also Black Hawk Farms. So anytime I have to race out there in the people are like, oh, Midwest, that's a long drive. I'm like, it's but I've got Casa de Sister to stay at, so I've gone to a lot of races at Road America and Black Hawk and Gingerman, courtesy of Casa Capley. It's really nice. And, I need to back something up on the getting back into racing after this crash last year. That first event in Florida went great. Fast forward next month to Savannah with ARMA, the season opener. I did great on the practice day. Times are competitive. I was like licking my lips. I'm like, I'm going to kick some butt tomorrow. I'm going to get some podiums and maybe even a win or two. And then it rained all day. And I was terrified. I went out there in the rain. And I was like, oh, whoa. I did not ride well at all in the rain, and I had problems with the vintage bike. And I went out on the Ninja. I was like, well, at least the Ninja's got modern, it's got full reins on it. This will be easy. It was not easy. I was terrified. My enthusiasm for the rain has definitely waned over the years, but I'm still usually pretty capable of going fast in the rain. And I think the accident had something to do with that, because all I could think about in that race was don't crash, don't crash, don't crash. You're still hurt. Don't crash. You're still hurt. And what a surprise. I had a great start. I was P2 going into turn 1, and I got passed by 3 people in 1 and 2, and then basically got passed twice. I lost 2 positions per lap the entire race. I finished. It was just I wasn't able to bridge that gap to relax. I was riding tight. I was hanging on too hard, and I was downshifting, and I was taking everything a gear lower when you really, that's not the way I usually ride in the rain. I'm usually really fluid and loose, and I just feng shui my way around the track. So I will take back some of what I said. This accident did have some far-reaching effects in my brain, but only when the conditions got nasty. When the track was dry, I was like, what crash? Who cares? but the wet conditions definitely. I'm even now like next time it rains, I don't know. Maybe I'll just sit and watch. I used to laugh at the old guys that would say, "I'm not taking any chances in the rain." I'm like, "Ah, you suckers! I'm gonna clean up more positions for me." And now I've become one of them. I don't really like riding in the rain. It's not fun, and it increases your chances of going down. But that was a fun rain race. Yes, Sunday. Yeah, yesterday at Barber. There's some exciting racing. I don't watch a lot of Moto America, but I watched those races. That was a lot of fun. There's some
Yeah,
good ones.
it
Love
was it
the
was a mega weekend down
Juju.
there.
Did you watch the?
Dude, of course I watched them all.
Did you watch
Right,
the Junior Cup or the Talent Cup?
absolutely. Cup. Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, Juju had an amazing save. That other dude went totally sideways right in front of him. He was like, "Whoa!" He went sideways himself. That would have been a pucker moment for sure. And
100%.
I can't remember who was the super sport rider that finished with no foot peg. And I think
My boy Ty Scott.
yeah, that was that. I was watching that. I was like, no, that's kind of stupid thing that I would do. And like, because I get in this whole got to get the points, got to get the points. Just if the bike can continue, I'm going to get back on it and ride it, you know. And I've finished races. I've finished a race once with a clip-on broken, and all I was thinking was, I got to hold it up here because if they see it's broken, they're going to black flag me. You would think I was thinking, oh my God, this is so dangerous, I'm going to die. But no, all I was thinking is, don't let the corner workers see that the clip-on's broken. You know, so I saw him riding around with no foot peg. I'm like, wait a minute, I approve. Mark Morrow approved. That's a good move right there.
It's a sign of a legend, man. You know, everything. Put everything on the line. If the bike's still going, let's go. Let's get it home, right?
And I think he finished ninth.
He
And
did.
you know, one of my heroes, one of my, you know, I've got several people that I respect. And I might be paraphrasing and twisting his quote around a little bit, but at some point in an interview, I remember that he said, "You don't win championships on your good day. You win your championships by how well you manage your damage control on your bad days." It's like it's easy to win. Everybody has a good day where you're just like, I can do nothing wrong. I just put the wheel where it needs to be. And he said everybody has those days, and that's not when you win championships. You win championships when you've got a fifth place bike, but you find some way to get a third out of it, or that you just have a fifth place bike and you recognize that I'm only capable of fifth today, and you get that fifth instead of crashing or blowing up trying to override what the bike's worth that day. And that I read that, I think before I even started racing. So when I entered the racing arena myself, I'm hearing Eddie Lawson in my head saying, damage control the bad days. When you have bad luck, it's how you deal with the adversity that gets the championships. And riding around and finishing a race like that was impressive. That's a championship move right there.
Listen, 110%. And I just wanted to touch on that. Congratulations to all my
But
friends.
I'd racing. If Kayla won it.
What? What'd you say?
I was just saying, it'd be cool if he won it, but it'd be cooler if Kayla won it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I got so many friends at Racing Moto America. I cheer for every single one of them. It's always real emotional for me when I see all my friends race, especially when they do really good. Even I understand, and everybody understands when you show up to the race weekend, not everybody's going to win, and it's not going to go the weekend.
Yeah,
the weekend's not always going to go the way you have it planned in your mind, the way it's going to go. Right? Exactly what you said earlier. So it's yeah, everybody did amazing this weekend for sure. There was some crashes. Some of my friends crashed out. Juju had a hell of a save. He come back. Ella did good. Man, my man Avery Dreyer come back and won the race, right? DeMario did good. Brody Page, Cody Copland. I mean, the list
You
goes
know,
on and on. You know, it's amazing to watch all my friends do what they love to do. You know, and cheer them on. But
yeah.
yes, it was proper mega weekend, and man, the rain threw a monkey wrench in the whole program on everybody, which is good to see because that's again,
Well, I
that's
like.
when you go ahead, Mark. Would you
Well,
say?
I was just going to say, I think it's great when you've got different conditions on 2 different days. We got to see the dry setup. We got to see who can go fast in the dry Saturday, and then we got to see who can back it up in the red. Sunday was a very different day. Was
Different day.
In some of the classes it was the same people on the podium. In other classes it was very different people on the podium. It was a very interesting
Yeah.
weekend.
Jake Gagne finally got a win, right? So coming back,
Yeah.
Gagne did good. So yeah, man, I love those conditions too because everything you work so hard for on Friday, you wake up, it rains, all that shit's out the window. That's like you got to start back over again, and it's yeah. But listen, this is why we love the game too, right? It's
Yep.
it's unexpected. Weather changes all the times. You guys just be glad you don't race in BSB because it could be sunny in the morning, rain right before the race, and then sunny and dry for the race. So it's like, what do we even do, right?
Yeah.
Um, we got
The
another
first
legend in the house.
my first time my first win in an endurance race happened at Summit. I won a race, endurance racing, at Summit Point, where it was raining on one side of the track and sunshine on the other side of the track.
And it's a oh shit moment too, right there. Yeah. So
Hey,
Paul,
Paul.
yeah, Paul's an absolute legend. He says, "We're a legend. Good race at Roebling, brother. Great show, Simcoe. Thanks for all the love and support, Paul. Paul's amazing. If you guys hadn't had a chance, go to all social media, show him some love, follow him. He's an absolute champion and a legend. So it was good to see you too at Daytona. 100%. It's always good to see Paul. Eric Watts says, love Mark and Eileen.
Yeah, Eric's a good guy. He's Eric Matt Pataka and I have teamed up doing endurance stuff this year, and we're going to do all 4 rounds of the Wira series. And I'm 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 already, like, ordinarily I'm like, yeah, we split everything even, we all get even track time, but Matt is so fast, and Matt and Eric are both so much faster than me. I'm starting to think more like, well, as team owner, maybe I'll put the fast guys out there, and yeah, we don't need 3 riders for a 2-hour race. Maybe just Matt and Eric can go out there. If somebody gets a cramp or something, I can finish the last 15 minutes. But I'm still in it. I mean, I'm an addict. I want to go out there. I still haven't done a 2-hour race all by myself. I want to do a 2-hour, just me, just to go out there. But I don't want to do it this year when we want to finish on the box this year. So I'm gonna lean on Matt and Eric a lot. They're both very fast riders, and you know,
I
I
love
love
it.
endurance racing, man. It's a lot
I
of
do
fun.
too. Man, I'm a huge fan of endurance racing. And Eric Watts, thank you for tuning in, my friend. You're absolutely proper mega. Thank you so much. Of course, we got Lean with a bunch of heart emojis and checkered flags. Yes, usually, well, with my cast on, I won't do it, but usually it'll bunch of hearts will show up. But that's for you guys and girls. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why it's not doing it. It's probably me.
Broke
I
it.
don't know. I did. And then we got Mackenzie Wall. My dad
Oh
is
my,
famous. Yes,
it's
he
my
is.
girl.
Love it.
Yeah, she's just a couple. She's a week or two away, just a couple weeks away from graduation. Yeah,
Congratulations.
that she's be a nurse. She's up at Averett University.
Love it.
She lives 15 minutes away from VIR.
I'm an hour and 30 minutes away, so I hope to see you there. Come up, trust me, I'm not hard to miss. You see my bright pink shirt and my blue, dude. You'll
ASRA has a race there this year, right?
Azra and so does VIR. I mean VIR. So does Moto America. So I'll go to both. I'm going to Moto America and
I'm going up there for a track day.
oh, just lost him, people. Hang on, he'll be
Christian.
back. But I just want to say, go ahead. He's back. Would you say?
I'm just saying I'm going up there at the end of the month for a track day, a Monday track day on VRR South, but it's so close to home, but it's just I don't get up there very much.
Well,
I might get an Azra license this year.
yeah, I won't be able to make
VIR, it's
VIR.
such a fun track.
Dude, I love it. I won't be able to make it when you come up, but the next time you go, definitely hit me up. I'll take the day off if it's during the week, and I'll come up there and we'll hang out all day. We'll throw some hot dogs on the grill, burgers, and we'll just have fun. Do a live podcast.
When's Azra racing there?
I have to check my calendar. I have it on my calendar. I just hadn't looked. After this, we'll plan all that out for sure.
Yeah,
Because I would love to. One of my favorite things to do is after I have my friends on the podcast is meet you in real life. It's like a full circle journey.
Of course,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Close the circle.
Facts, right? But it's going to keep going too, as well. So yeah, absolutely. And then Karen says, "Love when you come out this way." Well, next time I come up there, Karen, I'm gonna come see you too.
Yeah,
Don't worry, I'll just out on the floor. I'm good. No, I'm just playing. I'm inviting myself. Listen to me. I'm just joking. I love it.
I'm sure she would say the door is always open.
I'm sure she would, and thank you. Paul says, "Mark,
racing
we'll
right there with you.
Right there with you." Yep. And then Ellen, yes, that's something I wanted to talk about too. Sorry, people, about the spotty connection we have going on today, but no worries. Me and Mark are definitely going to run this back to where it's clear, everything runs smoothly, and there won't be no cut in and out. But yes, you are. How did you going from racing to, hey, I want to be an instructor, and then doing your own track days and all that stuff? How did all that take place?
So that's a story. So I told you my dad was a doctor. My mom was a piano teacher. And from a very early age, not only was I forced to take piano lessons from her, but when I was bored, I just hang out down in the studio and, listen to her teach and listen to other students play. And so all my life, I kind of had her teaching style, but both as a student of hers, but also as her son, and just also as just kind of observing. I kind of watched her. And when I was in high school and trying to figure out what to do, I was on the college track, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I decided to go to the Crane School of Music at Potsdam for music education. So I went to school to learn how to teach, but I never ended up being a music teacher. And the whole racing and restaurants got in the way of all that. But I've always been kind of a person that just likes to share my knowledge. And it started out with the racing when, when you're out there in practice and you see somebody do something stupid, and it kind of makes you mad when somebody, they do something dumb, and you're the experienced one and you see it happening. So you give them a little room and they cut right in front of you or do something stupid. And most people will follow people back and bitch at them, give them a little, you can't. People would do stupid stuff and I'd follow them back to their pits and I'd say, hey, I saw you doing blah, blah, blah out there. And, that could be pretty dangerous. One thing you might want to try doing is, and I'd be very positive about it and just give the, share my experience. And I didn't know it, but somebody was watching, heard me, but it was Ed Bargy saw me doing that at one point and just said, hey, I saw the way you're interacting with that guy. I'm always looking for new instructors and coaches. Do you want to come out and start coaching for me? And the man, he taught me how to race, so I'm like, oh, great. I get to be one of his coaches and I get to ride for free track time. The issue, though, it's not all perfect. I was racing an RZ 350 at a time, peaky two-stroke, replace pistons every 3 weekends, replace crankshaft every 6 weekends. They're not really good bikes for instructing on, so I taught a couple of weekends with Ed, and then I started saving my money to get a 4-stroke. And so I didn't teach with, I missed a few. And then I think the next year, I got a kind of a beat up FZR 600. And I got back in the circuit teaching with Ed, and really, and that was like 2003 or 2004 when that happened. And really, since then, I've been some years I teach 1 or 2 with Ed. Some years I teach 4 or 5 with Ed. Some years I wouldn't teach any at all with Ed. But I was, coaching with Ed whenever I could fit it in, whenever I had a 4-stroke that was running. Ironically, I've had bad luck with 4-strokes. 2-strokes are a lot more reliable, but that FCR let me down. And then I got a Ninja and it let me down. But then I got an SV and it let me down. But fast forward to 2019, and Arma, the guy that was running Arma's school, his wife passed away, and he just let Arma know that he gave them notice and said, this is going to be my last year. He missed, he was overcome with grief, and he didn't leave him high and dry in the middle of the year, but he told him, when the year's over, I'm departing. And the executive director for Arma and I were pretty tight, and he asked me if I'd be interested in the position. I'm like, I didn't see myself as the instructor at that point. I saw myself as a coach. But I also know that when opportunity knocks, you got to jump, and so I said, absolutely, I'd love to do that. And he said, there's a caveat. He said, the outgoing guy said he doesn't want us to use his curriculum or his name, so you're going to have to create everything on your own, clean slate. And by the way, it's December, and first race is in February. So, can you knock that out in 6 weeks, 7 weeks? So I was like, sure. And 2020, I took over Arma's school. We renamed it. I came up with my own name. I came up with my own curriculum, hired all my buddies, my favorite race buddies, to be my coaches. And man, it was just like, I was like, this is what I've been supposed to do. It just, like, I was always working with people, coming along and coaching people and helping people out, and doing, little prep. I mean, I wasn't doing it for hire, but I was private coaching 20 years ago. It just wasn't calling it private coaching. I was just helping people, somebody new joins the class. I want to race people. And so my number one goal is, when there's somebody new in my class, I want to get them up to speed so we can bang handlebars. I don't want to lap these people. So all of a sudden I was in this position, and, it's Arma's school usually has a really good turn.
He cut out again.
This is awesome. Cut out. Yeah. But am I
Yeah,
back?
yeah,
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back. I didn't hear
Check.
I didn't hear anything you just said.
Okay. So, for a minute or 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'd say for a good 45 seconds.
Okay. Well, the short version is that I've always been teaching, but I didn't realize, and I've always liked teaching. Cut out again, right? Am I back?
Yeah, you're back now. Yeah, you cut out again.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Yep. Yeah, it's boy, the internet doesn't want me to share this story.
No, don't. It's not been wanting us to talk here a lot here, but it's okay, because we will win.
Yeah. So here goes, third try. The basics are just that I've always loved teaching, but I didn't realize how much I love teaching until I started running the school. And that was when I was like, wow, I've found my niche. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, you cut out again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. But yeah, you cut out. The
Test,
last thing
test. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. The last thing I got was, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Kinda. Kinda.
Test, 1, 2.
Yeah, kinda.
We have got bad connection.
Yeah, we got a bad
Kind of
connection.
back. I see you again.
Yeah,
I see
I'm
you. I
trying to.
hear you.
I see you. I hear you. Do-do-do.
Woo! Yeah.
Oh
All
man.
right. So I'm going to try talking again. Let's see. So I've said it like 4 times, so I don't know if you heard it or not,
I
but
did
it,
not.
so I've always loved teaching. I didn't realize how much I loved it until I started running the school.
I caught most of it that time, Mark. I don't know what the deal is, but
Can you hear me?
our connect. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, but you're freezing up
Come
pretty good.
on. Come on, Al Gore.
Right?
Here we go. I heard right.
Right?
Then you froze. Fan though. Are you holding still? Are you just holding really still?
No, I'm
There
moving.
we go. There. Oh, yeah. Oh. God, what is going on? Yeah. Woo!
I don't know. I
Hey,
don't
look at
know.
that bike.
Yeah, dude, that thing's
Look at that thing.
beautiful. I love it.
1976. That's right. 50-year-old, 49-year-old motorcycle.
Still living the dream.
So yeah, the school thing, that's my jam. I love teaching. Just my favorite thing to do.
I love it, Mark.
We're
Well, it sounds
we're
like
having
I need to make a trip out there so you can teach me a thing or two.
I teach everybody, beginners, intermediates, experts. I've worked with people that are way faster than me. And well, how can you help somebody that's faster than you? Like, well, just because I don't, just because I'm 56 and overweight doesn't mean I don't know how to go fast still,
Fact.
But I love working with people. We're taking kind of a rebuilding year this year. I just had 3 dates, but are we back? Yep,
Yeah, we're
coming
back.
back. God, I don't know what it is.
Well,
Maybe we all got to like get Ethernet cables and plug our stuff into the router, and. I mean, I don't know. Is this the internet or is this a Wi? Is it Wi-Fi? Is it
it
local?
to me it's Wi-Fi because my computer's direct connected into the Ethernet, so I got my stream is like 100%. So
Uh-huh.
because I remember last time when you had a chat, you was in your living room at the time, I think,
Uh-huh.
your couch or whatever. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
streamed pretty good there. Sometimes when you go out in the garage, I don't know what it is about being out in the garage. It gets the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi don't work as good for sure.
I am literally 10 feet from where that couch is, though.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. It,
Crazy.
it
So
is
we're gonna
too.
blame. We're gonna say this is my fault. Then is that what?
No, absolutely not, Mark. We're in this together, so hey, you know what? We're definitely going to redo this one back
I can take
100%.
one for the team. That's all right. I'm good. I'm used to it.
All right, Mark. It is absolutely your fault.
uh,
I
yeah.
love it. Uh, good stuff, man. Good stuff. No, it's it happens, Mark. The choppy internet. It don't happen all the time, but sometimes it happens, man. Again, it's part of the game. But guess what? We're going to rerun this back. We're going to have really
Yeah.
good internet, and that way it's a smooth stream, and we'll just retell the story again. Because we know, we talked. We're already an hour 4 minutes in this, and we barely touched on any of the things you really wanted to talk about because I wrote them all down.
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful thing about a podcast, man. Once we sit down and we start talking, you never know which way it's going to go, right? And as you start telling your journey and your beautiful story, all these memories start popping back up too. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, let me take it back there. Let me tell you about this time, which I love it, right? That's absolutely amazing. So, remember at the
Yeah.
beginning, I told you too, I was like,
Well, I'll
hey,
tell you
we're going to do a
something I like
couple
to
of
talk
these.
about, kind of related to the school.
Go ahead.
What?
I said,
What?
but, huh? But, can you hear me now?
All right. I'm
Can
gonna
you
try
hear me?
something here. Hang tight.
All right.
Hold on.
No, you're good, bro.
Hold on. Do 1 second.
You're good. You are good. Take your
We're going
time.
traveling.
We're going traveling. We're going
We're
back in
going
time.
traveling. We're just gonna see what happens. Hang tight. Got to plug in. Make sure we got some power here. Turn on some lights. We had a good connection last time when I was in the living room. So here we go.
Right.
Let's just try going in the living room and see if that works better.
Right.
It's certainly more comfortable.
Love
You
it.
read me loud and clear? Everything. I think you're right. I think the garage was the cursed locus, the Indian burial ground or something.
Might be, man.
Um,
Might be.
so yeah, the school thing it's really just been a super rewarding experience. This is now my 6th year of running a school. I did 3 years for ARMA, and then we parted our ways, and I started up my own business, and that was a very interesting, you know, getting LLCs and insurance and all that, those kind of details. I don't really like that kind of, I'm more of a free agent. I don't like having having to conform to the government and all that stuff. So it was kind of like, oh God, I call it, adulting or growing up. But it was really a big step for me. And just the even to have the courage to go out and do it. I was so used to being ARMA's instructor, and then it was like to step out from underneath their umbrella and find my own, relationships with tracks and, track day providers to try to, running a track is ridiculously expensive, the insurance. And when you're running a school, you really only need like 15 minutes on the track out of every hour. So it makes perfect sense to partner up with a track day group, but track day groups they don't want to, they're going to do their own school. They don't want to pay somebody to do a school, so it's really hard to find people to partner with. Um, so but if it was easy, everybody would do it. And I love doing it. I love the challenge. And, this year we had to step back and only had three dates on the calendar this year, one last month. And then I've got one in September and one in November. So, the whole middle of the year, I get to focus on racing and coaching and fun stuff. And I got a lot of time to promote that school in September, but I hope to have a really full, sold out school and then do the September and the November one. Those are both going to be at Savannah, Roebling Road. But once I started running the school, it's like I've found my thing. It's just, if I could do it every weekend, I would. It would just, I get so much joy out of it. And even I had the kind of unique experience of having only 3 people signed up and 2 of them canceled. So I had a student. Amazing day. You'd think, oh, dude, you're not even going to make any money. I'm spending money to teach one student. But, I had so much fun. I gave this person, this woman, she was a professor at SCAD in Savannah, and she got me undivided attention for the whole day. And it was so rewarding, especially because she's like, gosh, should I sign up for the races tomorrow? I'm like, you took the race licensing school. You're here to race. She goes, yeah, but I'm so slow and I don't want to get in anybody's way. And I said, just do it. The act of doing it will give you confidence and make you faster. And sure enough, she signed up that next morning. She was way faster in practice than she'd been the whole day before, and then she entered 2 races. Her first race she finished last, but her second race she caught and passed somebody. And she came up to me after that. She's like, I passed someone. I'm just like, yes. It's just such a great feeling. And that same day, she was out there, and in this same race, she's out there passing her first person. She was in the same race as me. She's on a Ninja 4 or KTM 390. A former student of mine kicked everybody's ass and won the race. And so I got to watch the student that I just taught yesterday out there passing her first victim, and the student that I taught a year ago kicking my ass. I got third, but he was gone. I was like, oh, I'll just settle in right. No, I won't. Not if he's going to go that fast in turn one. Holy smokes. And it was really cool. He posted up his GoPro footage a couple days ago, and I'm staring through his GoPro footage to find places I can lose some time. I'm like, the student is now teaching the master. It's a very rewarding feeling to see your students succeed, And I've had a lot, since doing my own school, I tend to have between 40 and 50 students every year. But when I was doing the ARMA thing, it was like 150 to 200 students every year. So in the last 6 years, I've had about 400 or 500 students graduate or matriculate or whatever. It's really great when I see them out there doing well, and it's especially if they're in my own class and they beat me. People think, oh, doesn't that piss you off? I'm like, no, it makes me very happy. But I'm also very motivated. I'm going to go get him next time.
That's it. You're the rabbit now. I'm coming for you.
He said he's coming to Road Atlanta. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm ready. I've been losing weight. I've been dieting, riding my bicycle, So I'm motivated. But that was a little blink there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It was just a little one. Nothing like it was in the garage, though. Yeah, I can hear you.
No, you're frozen.
I'm frozen.
Oh, wait. Coming back. Okay, there we go. We're back. Yep. If in my dream world, I'm going to teach until I can't ride a motorcycle anymore. Like, I can see myself stopping racing eventually, because I really don't. The trophies I don't care about anymore. The championships, I won't say I don't care about the championships anymore, but I've gotten more than anybody needs, so, but the teaching, Ed Bargy is still teaching his school, and I believe he's 80, I want to be just like Ed. So I'm only 56. Hey, so by that math, I could teach for 25 more years.
Facts.
That sounds good to me. I'd like to do that.
Be just like Ed. I love it.
One thing that I've never done, track days didn't exist when I started racing. You had to take a race. If you wanted to get on the track, you had to go race. They just started coming into being probably around when, 99, 2000, 2001 or something is when the first track days first started up. And I don't go to a lot of track days, and I'm not super entrenched in that environment, and it drives me crazy because I go to track day website, Facebook pages and stuff, and tell people about my school, and I hear things that just frustrate me. People say, oh, I'm not fast enough for a school, or or I don't want to go racing, it's too dangerous. And I'm thinking, you ride an intermediate group and you think racing is dangerous?
You have no idea.
If someone's saying they're not fast enough for a school is just ridiculous in my mind. Yeah, exactly. But the best time to take a school is now. It doesn't matter what what your experience level, whether it's where's my hand, there's my hand, here, here, or here, you know, taking a school is how you learn things. And I always try to tell people, racing lets you know what you don't know. That tells you what you don't know. Then you go take a school to learn what you don't know, and then you go to track days to practice what you learned. That's the perfect balance of life. You do a couple races, take a school, go to a couple track days, go back to the go back to the races, rinse and repeat. It doesn't have to be a school. You can get coaching or whatever, but racing is the ultimate barometer. It lets that's why people like me and you are wired. We just love that. I don't have to ask you. I know that you love testing yourself. It's that I gave it my best. Maybe you won, maybe you're third, maybe you're fifth, maybe you're 20th. It doesn't really matter where that number is. It's you go out there, you give it your best, and you get that feedback of here's where your best was that day compared to the competition. And and then the other one is people say oh, I'm not ready for racing. I need to get my times down to blah blah blah. I'm like, slow people race too. People don't go racing because they think they're going to win. They go racing because they want to challenge themselves. And in every race, if there's a race with 20 people, there's going to be 19 people that didn't win. If all 19 of those people adopt the attitude that they were losers, Talladega Nights was a very funny movie, but if you ain't first, you're last is not a healthy attitude. It's funny, very entertaining. I've watched that movie 6 times, but I don't race based off it though. There's 19 losers in a race with 20 people. If you learn when you lose, when you lose, you learn what you have to do. You're like, oh, there's something I need to get better on the brakes. I need to carry more roll speed. My lines suck. Whatever it is, your racing is how you really find out ultimately what what's wrong, what's broken, how am I going to fix it. So if I could have one wish is like to get track day riders to understand that come take a school, you won't regret it. I've never had anybody take my school and say, man, that wasn't fun, or I didn't learn anything, or gosh, you really slowed me down. I was fast before I came in here and now I'm slow. That's never happened. It's always the opposite. It's always, wow, this was a blast. Wow, I learned so much. Oh, I can't believe I was doing that thing that you said that don't do or you'll die. Um, People just always learn. So, I'd love to see more track day riders coming, taking some schools. And whether you go racing or not doesn't really, the school has built into it a race licensing portion. I cover all the flags, I cover the procedures, I talk about the board going sideways in the green, and I do a lot of race strategy stuff. I talk about Eddie Lawson. I talk about what to do when things go wrong. I talk about how to recover from stupid mistakes and that kind of stuff. But ultimately, it's just a high performance riding school that just has a little side of race certification thrown in there on the side of it. So
I do. I do.
it's
And
fun stuff.
I think it's all also self growth too, to see how far you could push yourself. Not it's not only
Yeah.
self improvement mentally, right, but it's also learning your motorcycle too, right? I'm big on when I talk to people about getting into track days is like, do you know how to replace your own chain? Do you ever check your tire pressures? How often do you check your brakes? How often have you changed your brake or clutch fluid? Like these simple things.
Clutch plate.
Yeah,
Yep.
right. So doing racing too and taking schools, but also having a well understanding on how your motorcycle functions and works, right? All that to me is self improvement too, and that helped me progress and get faster because
Yeah.
now I understand why I'm doing what I'm doing on the track, not just going out there and go, I just fucked up. What happened? You know what I'm saying? Go out there and learning by your mistakes and
Mm-hmm.
understand what the mistakes happen. I think a lot of it too is it's hard for us to put our egos to the side. We got to have the biggest, baddest, best bike out there with all the shiny bits and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, you just wasted $50,000. You should have bought a 300 stock suspension. Don't even worry about
Oh,
suspension. Get you some proper coaching, right? Once you start out riding that stock suspension, guess what? Then get you a K-Tech setup or Olin setup or whatever you
yeah.
want to
As I
get.
say, time for some fork springs and
Right. I
internals
mean,
and a shock.
yeah,
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
There's a lot of ways to go racing on the cheap. A 300, you might buy 2 3 set tires a year on a 300, right? But you're gonna learn so much. You're gonna have so much fun.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not fast in a straight line. A 300 is never meant to be
Well, yeah,
fast in a straight line. It's all about corner speed because that's what gets you the fastest around the track is corner
well,
speed, right?
absolutely. And I bought my Ninja 400 expressly for the purpose of being an efficient, cheap bike to coach on. But I like it so much, I decided to enter a race on it. And now, a year later, I raced that thing. I ran that thing in 5 and 6 endurance races last year and about 10 sprint races. I had a blast on it. And I'm a big guy. You know, I can clearly see when I'm on my 400 and someone else is on their R3 or their 400, we get to the start and we twist the wrist, and that other person weighs 100 pounds less than me. They leave me, and my bike has motor is right at the edge of what you would call super stock legal. I mean, the person I bought it from gave me a very long list of everything it was done to, and I'm like, ooh, ooh, oh, it's got that too, huh? I mean, it's got a lot of nice stuff on it. But I love it. I love this bike is so slow. My vintage bike has 15 more horsepower. My 50-year-old 400 two-stroke has 15 more horsepower than my Ninja. Um, the Ninja is just keep it pinned. You know, don't let off the gas. It's crazy. Like at Savannah, I've got 3 turns at Savannah that I just don't even let off the gas on the 400. But on the RD, I have to feather the throttle and oh, how fast is too fast for this turn? How fast is too fast for that turn? But on the Ninja, it's just the people that are beating me on the Ninja at Roebling aren't. They're going around those turns wide open. I'm going around the turns wide open. They're not coming out of their tuck. They're staying, and that's the next level for me. Is I've got to get. I'm just so used to always hanging off, always putting my knee on the ground, always. Well, I'm a big sail. I'm a bigger sail than most people are, and we get to those high speed sweepers at Savannah, and the little guys and the little kids, they're staying with their butt on the seat. They're tucked down under the bubble, fully aerodynamic, going through turn 3 and turn 9, and I'm just like watching them pull bike lane. I'm like, what? So I like this bike because it's rejuvenated me, and it's gotten me, not that I'm stagnant on the RD, but I've been racing that RD since 2003. So 22 years of racing on the same bike. I know how to race the RD pretty well. I can confidently say that I ride that RD within a few percent of its limits. That bike's limits are here, and I tend to ride it like right there all the time. But the Ninja, its limits are here, and I'm inching my way up into like this range. But that bike has kind of reinvented me. It's also the first bike I've ever owned that has modern aids. It's got a quick shifter. It's got a slipper clutch. Um, wow. I used to make fun of people that had these things on their bikes. I'm like, oh, you can't shift, you can't you blip your throttle, you can't you put slipper clutch. Oh, I don't know how to blip my downshifts. Well, once you get used to that thing, that's kind of a really nice advantage, especially going into heavy braking turn, like turn 10 at Road Atlanta. You just go 6, go boom, 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 let the clutch out and focus on that front brake. And don't worry, it won't over rev. Slipper just does its job. And it's like it's like a drag chute on a parachute on a drag bike. It's just get to the braking zone and just pop, 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 pop. I like these driver. After years of criticizing and laughing at driver rider aids, I'm all of a sudden like, oh, and next up is gonna be the auto blip. Let's just jump in with both feet. Give me an all. I need wheelie control. I need traction control. I want analog brakes. I just want it all now. But no, I still have auto blip. Like, come on, you're going to take away the last thing that takes technique. Blipping the throttle and downshifting. That whole balance with your finger on the brake and using your hand. Like, that's hard for people to learn. And if you've been doing it all your life for the last 30 years, that's like an advantage that you're just giving up because somebody just swipes a card and buys a little black box that just automatically does it for you. So that kind of, some of the rider aids, that's like, it pisses me off because it takes things that are advantages for me just because of how long I've been riding. And also I'm a nerd for doing things perfectly when I'm out on the track. I've always, borderline obsessive compulsive about, blipping perfectly, having the perfect shifting. My clutchless upshifts are just as fast as my quick shifter is, but my quick shifter will do it perfectly every time. Whereas me, I would like every 10th or 12th shift, I'll get one that wasn't perfect, so the rider aids, that's all new territory for me. And that cheap little Ninja, that slow Ninja is kind of what was my gateway drug into rider aids. I'm like, okay, I get it now. I don't have to, if I ever get a fast modern bike. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, it is
I'm like you,
nice.
Mark. I'm old school, blip the throttle. I remember the first slipper clutch I had. I was like, oh my God, this is mean. I'm just like, and then let go of the clutch and it does it all. And I'm like, shit, I got to brake. I got to remember to brake now, right? Because I'm not used to it. I'm used to bum, 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 all that. And I had to reprogram my brain. I've never been on a bike with an auto blipper because I know as soon as I get on a bike with the auto blipper, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I kind of need one of those right now, right? But yeah,
I rode one in an endurance 2 years ago at R6, and it was nice. It took me a while, and the owner of the bike, he said, don't use the clutch. The auto blipper doesn't like that. If you try to manually do it, it is it. And of course I tried to do it myself. And I finally just said, hey, this is scary, but I'm boom, boom, boom. And I quickly just the slipper clutch and the auto blip. And we were racing at Red Atlanta. And it's like coming in, this is on the 600. I'm going like 150, 160 miles per hour going into 10A. And it was just like, yeah, just squeeze the front brake and just start banging off downshifts. And wow, it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4. Woo! Okay, get back on the gas and head up the hill. Head for the bridge.
It's like really a cheat code in a video game.
Absolutely. What was that with the Mortal Kombat with the
oh yeah.
Finish him. Gotta have the cheat codes.
Yeah. It's the cheat codes. But I mean, it's just,
and that's a great segue, by the way. That's a great segue into why I love vintage bikes so much and vintage racing.
Yes,
because there are no rider aids on vintage bikes. It is old school. You got throttle control. You got a blip. You got to have good technique. You got to know how to work on them because they're always breaking down. 30, 40, 50-year-old parts. It's I didn't set out to be a vintage racer when I started racing, but I started out on a bike that was 10 years old. It was the year that I started racing. The RZ350 had just been considered old enough to start racing in the newest vintage class. And I didn't even know about that first weekend where I went and finished second in Clubman, and I did D Superbike and lightweight twins and the 50 miler. I didn't even know about vintage racing that weekend. But then the second race I went to, someone said, "Oh, you should run that in the vintage class." I'm like, "Vintage class? What's that?"
Calling me old?
And they don't have expert and novice either in vintage. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was in my 20s, and they didn't have expert and novice either. And I quickly found out that some of those old guys were really fast. They might have had great. And by old guys, I meant those 40-year-olds. Yeah, I'm I'm now 56, but I've said that like 6 times already tonight. Um, but my perception of these old guys was, oh, these guys are gonna be a pushover. But I quickly found out these guys were not pushovers, and in fact, they were kicking my butt. And in many ways, I had more competition racing in the vintage class than I did in clubbing and D Super and stuff. I was like, oh, this is all right. So I started racing the sportsman stuff and the vintage stuff. Did that for several years, and really, the more I did it, the more I was gravitating more towards the vintage side of things. And another thing that's great about vintage is, with modern racing, you you really ever if you want to be like pro level, you need a new bike every year. But even in club racing, every few years, something comes along that makes the old stuff obsolete. But in vintage racing, you're racing a time period. So vintage racers tend to have that bike that they race that they've had for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And I didn't really mention this, but I'm by nature, I'm very thrifty and kind of a cheapskate, kind of a skinflint. And I was like, oh, I can just keep on racing this RZ. And sure, you got to freshen up the engine over the winter, and replace some bearings here and there, but I'm not having to buy a new bike every year. I debated going 600 racing that first year. The second year when I got bumped to expert, I was like, yeah, I could go do the 600 thing and chase contingencies and do the Weird National Challenge and all that stuff. But around that time, I had read a statistic that the average life expectancy of a new racer was 18 months. And they get into racing, they get a 600, they realize the tire expenses, all the expenses, they start putting it all on their credit card, they max out their credit card, and then it all goes boom, and they sell everything in a fire sale and they're done racing. And I was like, man, I don't want to be that guy. I love this. I want to do this for a long time. And I saw that vintage racing was a way that I could afford some longevity in the sport by focusing on one bike set up right. And I like, I like two strokes. I still like two strokes. You don't have to have a two-stroke to race vintage, but I think they're the coolest bikes in the world. And you know,
I
so
love a stroker too. I always I miss the
you know,
strokers, man. There's something special, they're temperamental. You ride them completely different than a four stroke. Obviously, no engine braking, right? So it's like salsa dancing with a new woman. But the simplicity of working on them too, right? It's not as complex. Four
yeah,
strokes, I know how to work on bikes, so they're not. Two strokes are a lot easier than a four stroke, right?
yeah.
And it's simple, right? You can do a whole motor in a day, throw it back in, boom, I'm ready to go, right? Or less, depending on
I've
how good
I've
your bike is.
seized in practice and rebuilt it over lunch
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
been
saying. They're
ready.
cheap. Yeah,
And it and it's not even that big of a deal. It's not even stressful. Like,
yeah,
oh, do you need a hand? I'm like, no, I got it. I got a piston. I got
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I got a
Just
head gasket, a piston. I'm good.
yep,
Spark plug. Let's go.
yep.
That's
Especially the
it.
air cooled, the RD. I can pull the top. I can have the top end off that thing in about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's it's air cooled. There's no water to drain. There's no hoses disconnect. Like
No
8 bolts
radiators.
pulls this.
That's it.
You pull off the pipes, pull off the carbs, and there's 8 bolts holding the cylinders on, and it's all done. Now we just put in a new piston, put the stuff on, 8 bolts, pipes, carbs, boom. It's like an hour. It's an hour to do it. Top it. But the two strokes. The one thing a lot of people don't realize with a two stroke is it is a lot harder. Um, yes, the power of the weight is really good, but the power band is very challenging to deal with. You know, on a Ford like the Ninja, that's a real high revving engine, and certainly it doesn't make a lot of power down low. But the power it makes down low compared to the power my RD 400 makes down low, is the Ninja's a tractor by comparison. The when you look at like dyno charts on four strokes, they're always this nice smooth like I'm trying to get my finger to go just, from one corner of the screen to the other like that, But on two strokes, it's like, yeah, there's always some magical RPM, the power band. But if you look at the numbers instead of just the shape of the graph, it'll be like 8 horsepower, 13 horsepower, 35 horsepower, 52 horsepower. Like within just 500 RPM, they go from asleep to very much awake. And you really have to learn how to not, you don't really want to be in the asleep part ever. Being in the asleep part of the power band on a two-stroke, that's how people get high-sided, because people that don't understand them, they get into a turn, they don't make enough downshifts, they whack the throttle open, nothing happens. And then they say, "Well, this thing sucks." And then it picks up a couple RPMs, and all of a sudden the horsepower doubles, and it's doing, and away you go. And so it's a lot harder. You got to dance on that shifter. You have to, but you don't want to be too high in the revs either, because they make so much power up there. Then you're like herky jerky, too much. So it's really tricky. You really want them to be just right above where in the basement of the power band. When you're at the apex of the corner, if your power band kicks in at 7,000 RPM, you really want to be at 7,100. That's the sweet spot. If you can just get like 100 RPM above the basement, you're in a good place. You're going to roll that on, and it's going to do what you want it to do as you roll that throttle on. Whereas if you're 100 RPMs lower, you're going to roll it on. It's not going to happen, and then it's going to happen way too fast. So I love that challenge. It's one of these. It's like when you get everything right, it just feels so magical. And I don't get that same thing on a four-stroke. There's a lot of things that I love about racing four strokes too. I love that Ninja, and I love inline four. I owned very few of them and raced even fewer of them, but I love inline fours. I love that rush up in those last 3,000 or 4,000 RPM as they race to the red line. But a two-stroke is like sticking your finger in a light socket. I mean, it's just whew,
Love it.
amazing bikes.
I'm a twin guy. I love twins. I remember the first V twin I rode. My buddy bought a Super Hawk, and I was like, "Dude, the thing sounds badass. I gotta ride it." And I jumped on it, and I was like, "Bro, this thing is amazing. Like, it has power everywhere. Like everywhere. I don't care where you are.
V2R 1000.
Yeah, it's I have a 03 RC51 that I ride.
Great bikes.
And a 08 Ducati 848 was my race bike, but I need a motor. I had the money for the motor, but I bought the RC51 instead of paying to have my motor fixed. I can't
really understand that.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. They're like, "Well, you did good." I mean, yeah, and I got an expensive.
51s are cool.
Oh, they're awesome. I love them.
It'll come. It'll come. The door will open.
It will open. It will. And on that note, Paul McKee says, "Just go racing." What does your school schedule look like this year, Mark?
September 21st, Sunday, September 21st, Roebling Road. Hit me up. Shoot me a message. Love to start taking reservations now. I'll have another one on 2 months later, 11. I think it's the 23rd. I don't know my phone. I left my phone in the garage, but I think it's November 23rd is the second one, also at Savannah. But it's a pullback year. It's a rebuilding year for the school. Just don't have a lot of dates. I had partners lined up over the winter to do schools with, and both of the partners I had lined up both decided they had other plans, and neither of them gave me. One of them let me know in December, but the other one didn't let me know until February. And I was left kind of scrambling. So here we are. It's a light year for the school, but I'm always available for private coaching. Got a lot of
just send me the info on your on the 2 dates you got coming up. So I'll put a post out and remind everybody and let everybody know where they can
Sure.
go and sign up and all that good stuff. Yeah, man, dude, we're an
Yep.
hour and 40 minutes into this podcast already.
Yeah. Well, I'm good to quit or good to go on. I'm flexy, so whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, we'll
I
we'll
know we
we'll,
said
we'll
we do
end
an hour
this
and a half.
here. I know, man. We'll definitely
Okay.
we will run this one back. So just stay on with me after I end this, and we'll just go ahead and
Okay.
reschedule our part one, part two, where we have
Okay.
good internet connection, right?
Yeah.
Um, but we will touch base still
Well, you
on
were
some of the
right.
stuff.
The living room worked out a lot. I think we've frozen one time.
Yeah, that's it. So the garage was problem. Damn you, garage. I love it. Well, listen, Mark, this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody sticking around, listening to this podcast cut in and out because of the internet, but I still had a proper mega time. I know Mark did, and I know all you guys and girls did too. Uh, Ellis, Aline says, talk about your private coach gigs in your year-long program. There you go. Talk about that real quick.
Yeah, so really quick, I started a mentorship program this year. I listed it on the website last year, but I never fleshed it out. So this year, I put the thought and effort into it, and so I do a lot of video coaching. I do track notes, so what I call virtual coaching, and the mentorship is basically three different levels. There's one that's all virtual, just like a package it's like a package deal for getting, if you go into a track you've never been to before, my track notes are really good at explaining a lot of the more complex things. And I've been to over 50 tracks. I can do track notes at any track I've been to. I've got about 15, 20 of them already done up, mostly Southeast stuff, but, and then there's two other levels with the mentorship program, one that's kind of geared towards a club racer, and then one that's geared towards a motivated club racer that has goals. And that's like a championship. And I actually, I'm sponsoring a racer this year, Jacob McCall. He took the school um, last year from me, with me up at VIR, very fast right out of the gates. And I'm doing the full mentorship with him this year, and it's I come to your races with you. Basically, it's like you saw Rocky. Mickey sits in the corner with Rocky. You get Mickey at every race, not every race, but I go to as many as I can, and of course if I'm not there, my phone like when it's a race weekend and you're one of my mentor riders. I'm we're on speed dial. I'm ready to answer any questions. I'm getting chatter in turn 3. What should I do? Let's get some preload, whatever. So I'm trying to expand the online stuff a lot. I really I'm a very analytical nerd when it comes to feedback on it. And all this stuff is on the website. Is marrowracing.com. Real simple, easy to remember, marrowracing.com. All one word. And just so yeah, they've got the track notes or video review. And then of course I also do private coaching, and sort of like the Rocky thing, if there's a lot of people that do coaching at the track and they're coaching 4 or 5 other people or whatever. If you hire me to private coach at the track, we're going to pit together, and basically I am your huckleberry for the entire day. You can talk my ear off. You can ask me a million questions, or you can just say, shut up, I just want to ride. Whatever you want to do. But you have a 30-year veteran who's won over I think it's 57 national championships. I haven't sat down and counted them, but it's more than 50. It's less than 60, at your disposal to share. I've made a ton of mistakes. I've made the right choice a ton of times too. I've been there. I've done that. I've screwed it up. I've recovered. I have a lot of information to share, and I think my private coaching is one of the best values out there. Something to put in perspective, I'm too old and fat to race Moto America, but I've been racing longer than most Moto America racers have been alive. When it comes to experience and wisdom, I am definitely up there on the pyramid. I'm not saying I'm the best guy in the world or anything like that, but I'm just saying, just a club racer isn't exactly the what you're getting. You know, I've seen a lot of things. I've been there. I've done that twice. Got the T-shirt, and the bumper sticker. So, um, yeah, I'm hoping to do a lot more coaching this year. So everybody, hit me up.
Word
Happy to
up.
help.
That's it. I love it, man. I love it, Mark. Your whole story was an absolute amazing journey, man. I appreciate you coming on here to today and tonight and telling everybody. And I
My
learned a lot
pleasure.
about you. I saved all the personal questions for our next podcast when it's nice and smooth.
Part
We
two.
have a yes, yes, yes. But on this part two, we're
Okay.
going to still touch base on how you got into it because it was choppy and I missed some of it.
Yeah,
And I'm
of
sure everybody else did too.
course.
Along the line. But yeah, listen, this has been a lot of fun, Mark. I always let all my friends end this podcast, so I'm gonna let you end it. But before I let you do that, I got to give a big shout out to everybody, man. Thank you guys and girls so much for tuning in and watching tonight. Without people like Mark and every single one of you tuning in, liking and subscribing to me, I would not be able to do this. So it's nothing but love to each and every single one of you guys and girls. It means a lot to me. It's an absolute honor, and I really mean that. I say it all the time. Um, Big shout out to Next Level Financial for all your financial needs, right? And bisontrack.com, people. It's 2025. Get that custom suit tailored, specifically measured for you. I have one. It's right here. Mark has several of them hanging up in his garage, but you that I'm talking to that don't, you need one. Go to bisontrack.com and get your full gear started. Um, Big shout out to my boy at Chef Eats. If you guys haven't ordered any food from Chef Eats yet, I
Jeff,
highly recommend it. Jeff servings are absolutely amazing. You guys can use a discount code pin to gas and save you 10% off your proper mega meal.
discount.
Yes, sir.
Ooh.
Another one is TST Industries in Florida. My man Bart, if you guys want to order anything, look no further than TST Industries. Big shout out to my man Martin at the Clothing Kings. You guys can go to clothingkings.co.uk and get all your Pin to Gas merch. And I got something in the works here too, to where all my US friends can actually order Pin to Gas merch here on US soil too. So stay tuned. That is coming very, very shortly. Big shout out to Eric at Superbike Supply. Hashtag do it for dad. Big shout out to SFL Mini GP. Best organization, I think, here in America for all the young talent coming out. I mean, just look at the Moto America grid. It speaks for itself. Um, Big shout out to RD Racing and my man Jake Marks out there in BSB. Good luck this year at Bimsy, brother. You got this. Big shout out to Vet2 Track. So my buddy Jim has good. Just all my vets go to vet2track.com. It's vet number two track.com. His whole motto is curing PTSD one lap at a time. His whole program is absolutely amazing. So get in touch with him. If you have any troubles at all, hit me up. I'll put you in touch with him. Big shout out to Flying Eyes Optics for all your sunglass needs. These sunglasses are made to wear underneath your motorcycle helmet, your pilot helmet. They're the lightest sunglasses I ever owned. Matter of fact, I had to start hiding them in my car. So my friends listen to this. So now they know where I keep them marked. They disappeared all the time because everybody's like, I love these sunglasses. Well, go order you some. Flyingoptics.com. Use a discount code Penny Gas, save 10% off there. Listen, they're amazing. Big shout out to 64 Degree Racing at Tate. He made me a two-piece custom undersuit. It is my favorite two-piece undersuit. So when it comes to track days, club ride, even out on the street, you got to have an undersuit, right? Some people are two-piece, some people are one-piece. I flip-flop between the two.
Absolutely.
I have a one-piece by Bison because yes, I'm a Bison ambassador and I love my one-piece Bison. But when it comes to two pieces, man, 64 Degree Racing Tate, man, his two-piece undersuit is absolutely amazing. So you guys hit him up, get your custom undersuit started, and do us all a favor when you show up to a track day, a club event, professional race, wherever you are, bring more than one undersuit. Bring more undersuits than you think you're going to need. Trust me, you can thank us later by saying that. By everybody, every time I say that, everybody's like, absolutely. Listen, we've been there, we've done that.
One per day. One per day.
One per day. And It depends on how hot and humid it is. That you might have to change it out twice per day, but bring more than you bring underwear and socks. Because if you run out of
Yeah.
underwear, guess what? You got an undersuit. You can just throw it on and there you go. So yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to Ghetto Customs, right? Big shout out to Ghetto Customs. So if anybody
Chris
out there looking,
Parrish.
yeah, any custom body work, look no further
Yeah.
than the man Chris Paris. He's absolutely amazing. If you are in Pennsylvania, look no further than Carnes Performance. Big shout out to KYT Helmets America, K Tech Suspension, Birch Kendall, and Dakari. If you're in North Carolina, ready to race. Here in Virginia, Coleman Power Sports. If any guys and girls out there ever want to do a track day at a MotoGP event, look no further than McLeo Escapes Track and Tour. He hosts I think it's a 2 week package where you go out and you could rate you ever want to do a track day at Bruno or Magello. Look no further than that. What a program, right? That'd be awesome. I need everybody right now to go to roadracingworld.com, sign up and donate for the air fence. It's absolutely imperative that we have those air fences. If we did not have the corner marshal workers, the air fences, and the
Absolutely.
ambulance, guess
100%.
what? We are not going racing. We're not doing track days. Therefore, we're not having fun. So do me a favor, go to roadracingworld.com again, donate to the air fences, whether it's $5, $10, $50, 500, whatever it is. We love you and we thank you. Okay. And if you're lucky enough and you're at the track where the legend Chris Ulrich is there and he has his 2-up ride, you pay, I forget what the minimum donation is, but you'll get a 2-up ride on the back of a motorcycle. And if you think you're fast and you hadn't done a track day yet, jump on the back with Chris Ulrich. He will blow your mind, right? And you'll realize I got a lot to learn. I really don't know nothing. Big slice of that humble pie you just ate, my friend. Um, Big shout out to STG, Brian Van and Max Van. Big congratulations, Max, this weekend at Barber. You did absolutely a proper mega job. I got three
Max did
friends
well.
right here. Yes, he did. That make custom graphics. First one's Dripping Wet. Second one is REB Graphics. And the last one is Gus Rodeo, grggraphics.com. You are not going to go wrong by ordering any graphics from any one of these people. They're all absolutely amazing. Another undersuit that I got to give a big shout out to is Aliki at Venom Undersuits. She is absolutely amazing. I hear nothing but great things about Venom Undersuits. I'm actually got one coming. I'm so anxious to try it. I cannot wait. So I actually got one she sent me. It's Jonas Foggers. You guys remember him? He raced in MotoGP. He don't race there no more. He got injured
Yeah.
and he'll come back. But I have his actual undersuit
Yeah.
which is absolutely amazing. So thank you so much, Venom. All my friends out there in the UK that want some private coaching or coachings, just like what my man Mark right here does, you can go to v121pro.com or you can go to mike-edwards.net and get proper coaching by Mike the Spike Edwards, 6-time
Spike.
BS legend. Yes, dude, he's absolutely amazing. Big shout out and congratulations to all my friends at BTR this weekend. All you girls did an absolutely amazing job. I'm sorry race 2 got canceled because of the weather, but congratulations to Kara on your first win. Miranda, Lucy, Brianna, man, there's so many of my friends that I have in there. I love every single one of you, and you guys absolutely murdered it.
Camille rode really well also.
They all did. Every single one of them did. They're absolutely amazing. I love the whole BTR program. I think it's freaking fantastic. So, you guys can go to Racer 411 program at tippandracing.com.
You're spinning.
Antley Terry, absolutely amazing what he
You're
does.
back.
Big shout out to California Superbike School in the UK. My buddy Israel has a thing for dogs called Moto Mutt International, so big shout out to him. I need everybody to go to miniusbk.com and sign up and donate to SFL Mini GP. On that website, you can sign up for all the SFL Mini GP events in Florida and in New Jersey. So you guys go check them out. They're absolutely amazing. Cole King, he's an absolute legend. He has a performance shop called King's Performance. So if anybody has a Harley or an Indian or a Triumph or a goat cart or whatever it is, right? Hit him up. He'll absolutely take care of you. Big shout out to all my people at Turn 12 out here in Virginia. Big shout out to my buddy out there in the UK at Obsession Engineering. You guys go check out his YouTube channel. He's absolutely amazing. Not only does he know about racing, he races the Alaman TT and the Macau and all that. Dude, he's an absolute legend. I love his YouTube channel, by the way. It's absolutely awesome. And last but not least, BTI Photos. All these are friends of mine that work in the industry that if I'd like to send everybody to, right? Because if they're doing business and making business, that means our sport is growing. And that's exactly what we need right now. So, yeah. Oh, one more shout out. I need everybody to go to markmorrowracing.com, sign up. He's got 2 classes coming up at Roebling. I think he said one is September 21st and November 23rd of this year. So go to the website. You can do it as we're talking right now. As Mark's get ready to end the
September
podcast.
21st and November 23rd.
There you go. September 21st, November 33rd at markmorrowracing.com. And
My
yeah,
turn?
Mark. Yeah, absolutely. Now the floor is all yours.
All right. Well, a little shorter. Definitely have some I want to shout. And can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Test
Man,
1
you
2
sound like
test.
the
hear me?
AT&T commercial. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? All right. So a lot of sponsors over the years that have been behind me. My first sponsor I ever got was Pitbull Rear Stands, Charlie Van Valkenburg, and Charlie came last year and he helped me out a lot. So absolutely the best stands you can get for your because of hard work.
You're cutting out again real bad. You're completely frozen, Mark.
Said Henson, Vintage Moto. These guys are a local shop that specializes in anything. Bring them a new bike, bring them an old bike, bring them a Harley, bring them. They do. They help me out a lot. Might be coming here racing me. Pitbull, Scott Clow Racing, Podium Motorsports, Retrodyne Pipes, Vintage Performance. That's going to round it out. Give me a list, and I touched the screen and it disappeared. But thanks to everybody. Thank you, Chris. This has been just a lot of fun. It sucks that we had some connectivity issues, but we'll make sure we got a solid connection for part 2, and we'll just pick up where we left off.
Absolutely,
Thanks.
we will, man. Nah, dude, listen, the honor's all mine, man. I appreciate you sitting down with me. I appreciate all the love and support from every single one of you. Richard Marshall, what is up, my man? He says, "What's up, Chris? You, my friend.
Also,
thanks for tuning in." The dog, I love it.
Kitty.
Oh, it's the kitty cat. I thought it was a dog
you.
for a second. I love it. I hear my dog.
He acts like a dog sometimes.
Dude,
He's kind of a cat.
His name is Monster, and he's an asshole, and he is just like a dog. So trust me, I totally get it. I really do. But yeah. Well, listen, this has been a lot
assholes, but we love it
dearly. We really do.
Yeah.
Dearly. We do. So, but yeah, listen, this has been a lot of fun. I can't wait to sit down for part 2. Just since we're having a bad internet connection, I'm just going to call you on my phone after I end this, and we'll go ahead and set up part 2.
Okay.
But yeah, again, thank you for everybody tuning in. If you missed this, you can go back and watch it immediately on YouTube as soon as I end this, on my Facebook. And tomorrow, I'm gonna try to edit it as much as I can and try to make it flow as smooth as I can, and then it'll be out on Spotify, iHeart, and you guys know the deal.
Awesome.
And if you have not yet, please go to all my channels and hit that ding, 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 that bell. It helps me out a lot. And yeah, until then, We will see you soon. All right, Mike.
All
I'll
right,
call you
man.
here in a minute. All right. See you guys.
All right, take care.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas Podcast.